Okay, so the world of AI is just moving at an absolutely breakneck speed. We are so far past the point where a single new model is the big news story for the week. Honestly, we are in a completely new era now. We're talking about the age of autonomous agents, tons of practical applications, and some really interesting shifts in power. Let's get into it.
You see, it's not really just about who can build the biggest, baddest model in a lab anymore. The real story, the place where all the action is in this complex dance between the core tech and how it's actually being used in the real world. I mean, from the apps on your phone to the power grids that light up our cities. And that interaction, it's forcing some seriously tough questions about how we even measure progress and who's ultimately in control.
So to try and make sense of this whole thing, we're going to break it down into 4 key parts. First, we'll get a bird's-eye view of the landscape. Then, we'll dive into the flood of new tools and apps. After that, we'll peek over the edge at the frontier of research, and we'll wrap up by talking about the big picture, power, people, and what progress even means anymore. All right, let's set the stage. Right now, the big themes shaping everything are this massive push to turn AI into actual products you can use, research that's getting more and more complex, almost weird, honestly, and of course, the huge societal questions that come along for the ride.
I mean, the most obvious trend is just this fire hose of new products. It really feels like every single week there's a new wave of AI tools hitting the market. The things that were just lab experiments yesterday are literally becoming the tools we use today, and that's a trend that is only picking up steam.
So, let's take a closer look at what these new tools actually are. And the spectrum here is just wild. It goes all the way from simple things that make your day a little easier to these incredibly complex systems that keep our whole society running. Just take a quick look at some recent launches on Product Hunt. On one end, you've got fun consumer apps like Nag Alarm AI, which literally uses AI to craft a personalized message to get you out of bed. But then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have these super powerful developer tools like WebMCP. Now, this one's a huge deal because it gives AI agents the ability to directly use and interact with websites and apps that already exist. The variety is just staggering.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the nuance we're starting to see. Take these 2 apps, for example, Nag Alarm AI and Gemma AI. They're both kind of personal assistants, right? But one is reactive. It goes off at a time you set. The other one, Gemma, is proactive. It decides when to call you with a reminder. It seems like a small difference, but it points to a much bigger trend in how AI is being designed to fit into our lives.
And believe me, this isn't just about our personal lives. Not even close. You've got giants like NVIDIA rolling out AI-powered cybersecurity that's designed to protect the world's most critical infrastructure. We're talking energy grids, water systems, transportation. The stakes here are astronomically higher than just missing your alarm.
Okay, so with all these incredible new tools being built, the quality of the AI that's writing the code is, pretty important. But that brings up a really critical question. How do we actually know if these models are getting any better? Well, it turns out that the main standardized test the community was using, something called SWE-bench, was actually pretty flawed. It was contaminated with bad data, which means it was giving a totally unreliable picture of progress.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, it's that the AI community is actively fixing its own mistakes, and that's a really good thing. They're shifting over to a new, much better benchmark called SWE-bench Pro. It's a sign that the field is maturing, They're realizing that to build better AI, you first have to have better ways to measure it. Now, let's see where this is all headed.
And that brings us from the products we can use today to the foundational research that's going to shape tomorrow. This is where things get truly wild, as we start to explore what happens when AI becomes more autonomous, more capable, what the researchers are calling agentic. So what on earth is AgenticAI? Well, think of it this way. Instead of just responding to a prompt you type, an agentic system can take a big, complex goal, like, say, book me the cheapest flight to London next Tuesday. And then all by itself, it can break that down into smaller steps, go to the airline's website, fill in your info, and buy the ticket, all without you having to do anything else. This huge leap in what AI can do leads to some pretty profound questions. I love this quote from researchers Sarath Shekijar and Adam Earl, who basically ask, once you have a whole bunch of these autonomous agents interacting with each other, what actually happens? What kind of social dynamics pop up when AIs are the only ones in the room? Well, to find out, some researchers built a social network just for AI agents called Maltbook, and the results were, wow. In just 12 days, a whole social structure emerged completely on its own. You had a clear hierarchy, a one-way flow of attention to certain influencer agents, and even specialized social roles. It suggests that things like social hierarchies can just happen organically, even in a world that's purely digital.
At the same time, other researchers are looking at how humans and AI can work together, and they've stumbled upon this really tricky dilemma. See, if an AI is designed to always agree with you, you'll trust it more, but it might just be reinforcing your own bad ideas. But if it's designed to correct your mistakes, it can lead to better outcomes, but you might stop trusting it if it feels like it's second-guessing you. The real challenge, the holy grail, is to design an AI that's smart enough to know when to be a partner and when to be a critic.
And look, this isn't just some academic thought experiment. Let me ask you this, and be honest. Do you really, truly think you could tell if you were talking to an AI during a scam call? This rise of vishing, voice phishing, shows that it's becoming almost impossible to tell the difference. And that is a massive, immediate security threat for all of us.
So all of this, the new tools, the agentic research, the very real security risks, it all brings us to our final section. We have to zoom out and start asking the really big questions about how this technology is fundamentally changing our economy and the very nature of power itself.
So, with all this incredible momentum, what's actually steering the ship? Is AI's path being set by researchers solving interesting problems, or by developers building cool tools, or is there a much larger economic engine driving this whole thing? Well, analysts at Andreessen Horowitz call this engine AI's capital flywheel. As you can see, it's a really powerful, self-reinforcing loop. It works like this. Someone builds a better model. That model attracts billions in investment. That investment is used to buy more computer power and hire the best talent. That leads to, you guessed it, an even better model, which attracts even more capital. The critical thing to understand here is that this cycle naturally funnels immense power and resources into the hands of a very, very small number of players.
But while that flywheel is spinning faster and faster, it is so important that we stay grounded. Research from Together AI gives us a fantastic reality check. It shows that even though the best speech models score near human on those lab tests, in the real world they can fail a whopping 39% of the time on something as simple as transcribing street names. The gap between the lab and real life is still huge.
This gap also points to a problem in how we even think about this stuff. Some people argue we keep making a mistake by using old analogies. Calling an advanced AI a product or a platform is kind of like calling a car a faster horse. The digital gorilla idea suggests we're dealing with a fundamentally new kind of thing, and it's going to require totally new ways for us to think about it and govern it. And that leaves us with one final question to really chew on. We started this whole discussion by looking at AI agents as just another consumer tool. But the research is already showing that they are capable of forming their own societies with their own rules and hierarchies. So, as we build AI that can do that, what kind of world are we ultimately creating for ourselves?